safe, a bat drawn on the wall with a burnt match where he jimmied the Cedarburg Bank, a real bat, dead, tacked to the mantelpiece over poor old Allison's body. Oh, he's in a class by himself, and I very much doubt if he was a crook at all for most of his life." "You mean?" "I mean this. The police have been combing the underworld for him. I don't think he comes from there. I think they've got to look higher up in our world, for a brilliant man with a kink in the brain. He may be a doctor, a lawyer, or a merchant, honored in the community one day. Good line that, I'll use it sometime. And at night, a bloodthirsty assassin. Deacon Brodie. Ever hear of him? The Scotch deacon that burgled his parishioners' houses on the quiet? Well, that's our man." "But my lord, Bill." "I know. I've been going around the last month looking at everybody I knew and thinking, are you the Bat? Try it for a while. You'll want to sleep with a light in your room after a few days of it. Look around the University Club. That white-haired man over there. Dignified. Respectable. Is he the Bat? Your own lawyer. Your own doctor. Your own best friend. Can happen, you know. Look at those Chicago boys, the thrill killers. Just brilliant students, likable boys to the people that taught them, and cold-blooded murderers all the same." "Bill, you're giving me the shivers." "Am I?" The editor laughed grimly. "Think it over. No, it isn't so pleasant. But that's my theory, and I swear I think I'm right." He rose. His companion laughed uncertainly. "How about you, Bill? Are you the Bat?" The editor smiled. "See," he said, "it's got you already. No, I can prove an alibi. The Bat's been laying off the city recently, taking a fling at some of the swell suburbs. Besides, I haven't the brains. I'm free to admit it." He struggled into his coat. "Well, let's talk about something else. I'm sick of the Bat and his murders." His companion rose as well, but it was evident that the editor's theory had taken firm hold on his mind. As they went out the door together he recurred to the subject. "Honestly, though, Bill, were you serious, really serious, when you said you didn't know of a single detective with brains enough to trap this devil?" The editor paused in the doorway. "Serious enough," he said. "And yet there's one man, I don't know him myself, but from what I've heard of him he might be able, but what's the use of speculating?" "I'd like to know all the same," insisted the other, and laughed nervously. "We're moving out to the country next week ourselves, right into the Bat's new territory." "Well," said the editor. "You won't let it go any further. Of course it's just an idea of mine, but if the Bat ever came prowling around our place, the detective I'd try to get in touch with would be—" He put his lips close to his companion's ear and whispered a name. The man whose name he whispered, oddly enough, was at that moment standing before his official superior in a quiet room not very far away. Tall, reticently good-looking, and well, if inconspicuously, clothed and groomed, he by no means seemed the typical detective that the editor had spoken of so scornfully. He looked something like a college athlete who had kept up his training, something like a pillar of one of the more sedate financial houses. He could assume and discard a dozen manners in as many minutes, but to the casual observer the one thing certain about him would probably seem his utter lack of connection with the seamier side of existence. The key to his real secret of life, however, lay in his eyes. When in repose, as now, they were veiled and without unusual quality, but they were the eyes of a man who can wait and a man who can strike. He stood perfectly easy before his chief for several moments before the latter looked up from his papers. "Well, Anderson," he said at last, looking up, "I got your report on the Will Henry burglary this morning. I'll tell you this about it. If you do a neater and quicker job in the next 10 years, you could take this desk away from me. I'll give it to you. As it is, your name's gone up for promotion today. You deserved it long ago." "Thank you, sir," replied the tall man quietly, "but I had luck with that case." "Of course you had luck," said the chief. "Sit down, won't you, and have a cigar, if you can stand my brand. Of course you had luck, Anderson, but that isn't the point. It takes a man with brains to use a piece of luck as you used it. I've waited a long time here for a man with your sort of brains, and by Judas, for a while I thought they were all as dead as Pinkerton. But now I know there's one of 'em alive at any rate. It's a hell of a relief." "Thank you, sir. said the tall man, smiling and sitting down. He took a cigar and lit it. "That makes it easier, sir, you telling me that, because I've come to ask a favor." "All right," responded the chief promptly. "Whatever it is granted." Anderson smiled again. "You better hear what it is first, sir. I don't want to put anything over on you." "Try it," said the chief. "What is it? Vacation? Take as long as you like, within reason. You've earned it. I'll put it through today." Anderson shook his head. "No, sir, I don't want a vacation." "Well?" said the chief impatiently. "Promotion? I've told you about that. Expense money for anything? Fill out a voucher and I'll okay it. Be best man at your wedding? By Judas, I'll even do that." Anderson laughed. "No, sir, I'm not getting married, and I'm pleased about the promotion, of course, but it's not that. I want to be assigned to a certain case, that's all." The chief's look grew searching. He said. "Well, as I say, anything within reason. What case do you want to be assigned to?" The muscles of Anderson's left hand tensed on the arm of his chair. He looked squarely at the chief. "I want a chance at the Bat," he replied slowly. The chief's face became expressionless. "I said, anything within reason," he responded softly, regarding Anderson keenly. "I want a chance at the Bat," repeated Anderson stubbornly. "If I've done good work so far, I want a chance at the Bat." The chief drummed on the desk. Annoyance and surprise were in his voice when he spoke. "But look here, Anderson," he burst out finally. "Anything else and but what's the use? I said a minute ago you had brains, but now, by Judas, I doubt it. If anyone else wanted a chance at the Bat, I'd give it to them and gladly. I'm hard-boiled. But you're too valuable a man to be thrown away." "I'm no more valuable than Wentworth would have been." "Maybe not. And look what happened to him. A bullet in his heart, and 30 years of work that he might have done thrown away. No, Anderson, I've found 2 first-class men since I've been at this desk, Wentworth and you. He asked for his chance, I gave it to him, turned him over to the government, and lost him. Good detectives aren't so plentiful that I can afford to lose you both." "Wentworth was a friend of mine," said Anderson softly. His knuckles were white dents in the hand that gripped the chair. "Ever since the Bat got him, I've wanted my chance. Now my other work's cleaned up, and I still want it." "But I tell you," began the chief in tones of high exasperation. Then he stopped and looked at his protege. There was a silence for a time. "Oh, well," said the chief finally in a hopeless voice. "Go ahead. Commit suicide. I'll send you a Gates Ajar and a card. Here lies a damn fool who would have been a great detective if he hadn't been so pig-headed. Go ahead." Anderson rose. "Thank you, sir," he said in a deep voice. His eyes had light in them now. "I can't thank you enough, sir." "Don't try," grumbled the chief. "If I weren't as much of a damn fool as you are, I wouldn't let you do it. And if I weren't so damn old, I'd go after the slippery devil myself and let you sit here and watch me get brought in with that infernal paper bat pinned where my shield ought to be. The Bat's supernatural, Anderson. You haven't a chance in the world, but it does me good all the same to shake hands with a man with brains and nerve." And he solemnly wrung Anderson's hand in an iron grip. Anderson smiled. "The cagiest bat flies once too often," he said. "I'm not promising anything, chief, but—" "Maybe," said the chief. "Now wait a minute. Keep your shirt on. You're not going out bat hunting this minute, you know." "Sir? I thought I—" "Well, you're not," said the chief decidedly. "I've still got some little respect for my own intelligence, and it tells me to get all the work out of you I can before you start wild goose chasing after this bat out of hell. The first time he's heard of again, and it shouldn't be too long from the fast way he works, you're assigned to the case. That's understood. Till then, you do what I tell you, and it'll be work, believe me." "All right, sir." Anderson laughed and turned to the door. "And thank you again." He went out. The door closed. The chief remained for some minutes looking at the door and shaking his head. "The best man I've had in years, except Wentworth," he muttered to himself. "And throwing himself away. To be killed by a cold-blooded devil that nothing human can catch. You're getting old, John Grogan. but by Judas, you can't blame him, can you?